Myself for an opening statement. Good afternoon, everybody, and thank you to our witnesses for joining us today. Today's hearing will focus on the importance of Arctic security and the urgent need for the United States to strengthen its presence, coordination, and defense capabilities in this challenging yet vital region. The Arctic, long considered a strategic frontier for the United States, has become a competitive tundra with melting ice opening new shipping routes and expansive new access to critical minerals. Given these developments, Russia has stepped up its Arctic posture. Despite its ongoing war with Ukraine, Russia has quietly expanded its military footprint in the high north and reactivated its Cold War-era bases to deploy more advanced air and missile defense systems and increase complex naval operations across the region. Over the years, Moscow has built up the world's largest fleet of heavy icebreakers and increased investment in northern ports, airfields, nuclear-powered vessels, and critical energy infrastructure. This allows Russia to strengthen its projection of maritime power and close in on critical maritime corridors along the Northern Sea Route. At the same time, China is positioning itself as a, quote, near-Arctic state and steadily expanding its presence along the region. Beijing has invested in Arctic infrastructure and pursued what it claims to be scientific research, activities to gain greater access to critical minerals and natural resources. China is actively integrating the Arctic into its broader global strategy, leveraging investments in dual-use capabilities that could support future military and intelligence gathering activities. These aggressive tactics by Russia and China demonstrate a clear intent by two of our greatest adversaries to expand their Arctic domain and put pressure on the United States. Meanwhile, as our adversaries plot in the Arctic, the United States has limited operations in the region. To support our national security priorities, we must re-engage as an Arctic nation and harness the power of the high north. Last year, congressional Republicans bestowed the Coast Guard with unprecedented resources through the One Big Beautiful Bill Act signed into law by President Trump. This $25 billion investment, including tens of billions directed towards the procurement of new icebreaking, polar security, and national security and Arctic security cutters, gives the U.S. an unprecedented opportunity to deploy the Coast Guard's Arctic assets and exert greater dominance. As such, the Coast Guard has commissioned the building of a new medium polar icebreaker called Storis, in addition to its one medium icebreaker, the Healy. The Coast Guard's only operational heavy icebreaker, the Polar Star, just completed its 29th Antarctic tour, despite being long past its intended service life. This widening gap in U.S. Arctic capability is unacceptable, and the U.S. cannot afford to fall behind Russia and China. We must implement this historic investment expeditiously to expand U.S. presence, capability, and commitment to Arctic security. For years, the Coast Guard has been plagued by delays, cost overruns, and contract mismanagement, and this subcommittee has sounded the alarm. These are not just acquisition challenges, they are growing national security vulnerabilities. While these investments act as a down payment on Coast Guard readiness, Congress must also consider future opportunities and challenges on the frozen frontier, including through improving international partnerships and hardening our intelligence gathering methods to improve our Arctic strategy on all fronts. We must recognize that the Arctic is a challenging but promising frontier, and the competition to dominate it is increasing day by day. The Trump administration is appropriately considering how to leverage strategic vantage points, such as Greenland, to improve U.S. military readiness in the Arctic. Today, we should explore those opportunities and examine why the Arctic matters, where the U.S. stands with our Arctic allies, and what must be done to prepare and protect our interests. Thank you again to our witnesses for appearing in today's hearing, and I look forward to your testimony.